When Malcolm Reed was arrested outside a corner store, the police saw what they expected. Just another homeless black man to lock away. They didn't question why his military records had vanished or how a man sleeping behind a church could recite classified mission protocols with chilling precision. As public defender Lila Harper dug deeper, she uncovered a hidden truth. Before Malcolm became a ghost to society, he had been deliberately erased by it. Facing fabricated charges in a courtroom where justice rarely reached the forgotten, no one anticipated the moment when a judge would stand and demand an entire room rise for the man they'd been conditioned to overlook. The early morning sun cast long shadows across the gritty streets of Cedar Hollow's downtown. Malcolm Reed moved quietly through alleys, eyes lowered, his weathered hands gripping a half-filled bag of aluminum cans. At 62, his face bore the scars of struggles and secrets, etched with lines that told of burdens too heavy for most to fathom. "Here you go, Sergeant," Malcolm muttered, placing a half-eaten sandwich near an alley dumpster. A scruffy mutt with a notched ear crept forward, sniffing before gently taking the food. Malcolm watched the dog eat, a faint smile softening his stern features, the closest thing to a conversation he'd had in days. The dog nudged his hand. He patted its head twice. "Same time tomorrow," he promised, adjusting the worn straps of his backpack, its meager contents weighing on shoulders that once carried far greater loads. To passers-by, Malcolm was invisible, just another homeless man, a problem to ignore. He preferred it that way. Invisibility meant safety. No questions about the nightmares that woke him at 3 a.m., drenched in sweat, reaching for a weapon long gone. By mid-afternoon, he'd collected enough cans for a bottle of water and a protein bar. He headed to Wilson's Corner Store, a small shop he frequented because its back exit led to St. Matthew's Church, where he slept in a sheltered nook behind the dumpsters. The church staff knew he was there but never shooed him away, a rare kindness Malcolm never took for granted. Inside, Jack Tanner, a young white clerk with a receding hairline and a perpetual frown, stood behind the counter, yelling into his phone. "I don't care what they said. I'll have the money by the 15th. It's only the 10th. His voice cracked with desperation. "Just give me till Friday, I swear." He paused, then slammed the phone down as Malcolm approached, placing $1.37 by the register. "Water," Malcolm said, his voice rough from disuse. Tanner glared at the money, then at Malcolm. His day's frustrations zeroed in on the worn black man before him. "What? You think this is a soup kitchen?" he sneered, shoving the coins back. Malcolm didn't flinch. "It's enough. Same price as yesterday." "Today's different," Tanner snapped, standing taller. "Price went up. Get out before you scare off real customers." Malcolm reached for his money. "I'll go elsewhere." Tanner grabbed his wrist. "You think you can waste my time? Stinking up my store?" His voice rose, catching the eye of a lone customer in the aisle. "Let go," Malcolm said, his tone flat but his eyes sharpening with a focus that might have warned a sharper man. A glint of training beneath the weary exterior. Tanner didn't notice. He shoved Malcolm, sending him crashing into a chip display. "Get out, you worthless." He spat a racial slur that poisoned the air. Malcolm regained his balance with startling grace, standing still, his posture subtly shifting to something controlled, deliberate. Tanner grabbed his phone. "I'm calling the cops. This guy tried to assault me," he shouted, though Malcolm hadn't moved. "He threatened to burn this place down." 10 minutes later, a cruiser screeched up. Officers Stephen Holt, Mark Dillon, and Paul Carter stepped out, adjusting their belts in unison. Holt, the senior officer with sergeant stripes, took charge. Malcolm had moved outside, sitting calmly on a bench, knowing better than to flee. Running meant guilt in their eyes. "That him?" Holt asked Tanner, who'd come out to meet them. "Yeah." Tanner nodded eagerly. "Went nuts when I said he couldn't get water without paying full price. Tried to jump the counter." Malcolm stood slowly, hands visible. "I didn't." "Shut up," Holt barked, closing in. "Hands where I can see 'em." "They are," Malcolm replied evenly. His calm seemed to infuriate Holt. Without warning, he tackled Malcolm to the ground. Malcolm's head hit the sidewalk with a sickening crack, blood pooling beneath him. "Stop resisting," Holt yelled, though Malcolm lay limp. A woman across the street filmed with her phone. "He's not doing anything," she shouted. Carter stormed over, twisting her wrist until she dropped the phone, then crushed it under his boot. "Evidence in an investigation," he said coldly. "Interference is a crime." Another bystander filmed from his car. Dylan approached, hand on his holster. "Move along. Police business." "Public sidewalk." The man shot back. "I've got rights." "You've got the right to be arrested for obstruction," Dylan retorted. The man hesitated, then drove off. Malcolm stayed silent as Holt cuffed him roughly, blood trickling down his temple. His eyes fixed on a distant point, as if detached from the moment. "Get him in the car," Holt ordered. Dylan and Carter dragged Malcolm to the cruiser, his legs barely holding him up. They shoved him in, his head banging the doorframe. As they drove to the Cedar Hollow precinct, Malcolm's lips moved faintly, murmuring words too soft to hear. "What's that, general garbage?" Holt mocked from the front. "Giving orders to your imaginary army?" Malcolm fell silent. "This one's gonna stick," Holt told his partners. "No one's missing another piece of street trash." At the station, Malcolm was processed swiftly, photographed, fingerprinted, and tossed in a holding cell. Carter handled the paperwork while Holt and Dylan took Malcolm's tattered backpack to an empty room. "Let's make this stick," Holt said, wiping a switchblade clean before slipping it into the bag. Dylan added a small bottle of unmarked pills. "Found these concealed in the suspect's possession," Holt dictated as Dylan filled out the evidence form. Suspect was belligerent, threatened officers and civilians. Carter's report echoed the lie, amplifying Tanner's statement with fabricated details of Malcolm's aggression. Across town, Lila Harper left the Cedar Hollow courthouse, her shoulders tight from a day of fighting losing battles. At 27, the public defender's idealism was already fraying, her eyes carrying the weary glaze of those who learned justice and law rarely aligned. "Harper," called Edward Grayson, her gray-haired mentor, jogging to catch up. "Calling it a day? It's only 7. Lila gave a tired smile. "Only 12 hours today instead of 14. I'm slacking." Grayson's face softened. "Hang in there. That grant's coming through. Might mean another hire." "And until then?" Lila asked. "We do what we can," Grayson sighed, handing her a file. "New intake. No one else wanted it." Lila scanned it. Malcolm Reed, assault, resisting arrest, concealed weapon, possession. Holt was the arresting officer. She looked up sharply. "Again." Grayson nodded. "4th case this month with his name. All homeless, similar charges. All guilty per Judge Thompson." Lila frowned. "Booking says he hasn't spoken since they brought him in." The next morning, Lila sat across from Malcolm in a grim jail interview room. He was still, hands folded, eyes locked on the wall behind her, a crude bandage on his forehead. "Mr. Reed, I'm Lila Harper, your public defender," she said. No response. "Can you tell me what happened?" Malcolm's face showed nothing. No anger, no hope, just the hollow detachment of someone who'd long given up on the system. "Mr. Reed, I need you to work with me. They say you threatened the clerk, resisted arrest, had a knife and drugs." Malcolm's eyes finally met hers, sharp and unnerving, a clarity at odds with his ragged state. "Sergeant Reed," he said softly. "1st Recon Special Joint Task Command. That's all I'll say." Lila blinked. "You served." Malcolm shut down again, staring at the wall. Frustrated but curious, she stood. "I'll be back tomorrow. Think about what might help your case." In the hall, Holt leaned against the wall, smirking. "Another do-gooder saving trash," he taunted loudly to another officer. "She'll burn out in a month." Lila ignored him, head high. In her car, she searched Joint Task Command. Most results were classified, but one declassified note mentioned an elite unit operating in combat zones from 2001 to 2010. Everything else was redacted. Questions piled up. Who was Malcolm Reed? Why was Holt so eager to bury him? Lila sat at her cluttered desk, fixated on Malcolm's case. 3 days after their meeting, she couldn't shake the sense that something was off. She searched databases, criminal, public, social media, finding only a 20-year-old dismissed trespassing charge. Malcolm Reed was a ghost. It doesn't add up, she muttered. Everyone leaves a trace. Bills, taxes, something. Her phone buzzed with a text from her court clerk. Police report in. Sending now. The report had errors. Malcolm listed as 40 years old, not 62. Claims of violent threats with no body cam footage. Odd for a confrontational arrest. At Donovan's pub, Holt, Dillon, and Carter sat in their usual booth, 3 beers deep. You should have seen this guy, Holt laughed, slamming the table. All high and mighty till I dropped him. That look on his face, Carter snickered. Priceless. Best part? He barely spoke. Dillon added, easy when they know it's hopeless. Unlike that loudmouth last month. Holt grimaced, yammering about his rights. Rights? Carter scoffed. Like trash deserves rights. The bartender, Luke Mason, wiped glasses nearby, ears strained, feigning busyness. We gotta clean house before the feds sniff around again, Holt said quieter. Last year's review was too close. Relax, Carter said. Thompson signs off on whatever we give him. Owes me for his kid. Mason moved away, uneasy but too scared to speak up. Next morning, Lila visited Wilson's corner store to question Tanner. He bristled when she introduced herself. I told the cops everything, he snapped. That bum threatened me. Done. There are inconsistencies, Lila pressed. Witnesses say Malcolm was calm outside. Tanner wiped sweat from his brow, despite the cool store. They didn't see inside. I don't have to talk to you. Leave or I'll call the cops. Were you pressured to lie? Lila asked bluntly. False reporting's a crime, Mr. Tanner. Get out, he shouted, grabbing his phone. Lila left, certain he was hiding something. At the jail, Malcolm sat motionless on his cot, eyes tracking officers in the corridor. Officer Ethan Walsh passed, accidentally spilling a tray of watery soup onto Malcolm's chest. Oops, Walsh sneered. Failed your training, soldier boy. Malcolm didn't move, his stillness unnerving Walsh. Another officer, Samuel Grant, approached with a towel. Clean up, he said loudly for show, then whispered, Don't let him break you. Malcolm's eyes flicked to Grant, a brief connection before his mask returned. Lila called Nathan Cole, a former Army medic she'd defended on a petty theft charge. They met at a coffee shop far from the courthouse. Recognize him or his unit? She asked, sliding Malcolm's booking photo and a close-up of his faded wrist tattoo across the table. Cole studied them, then pushed them back. Damn, he whispered. Where'd you find this guy? He's my client. Why? That's no regular unit, Cole said, pointing to the tattoos, crossed arrows, and star. That's a disavowed elite team. Ops that don't exist on paper. What kind? Lila pressed. The kind erased when they go wrong or right in the wrong way, Cole said, leaning in. You're poking a dangerous bear, Lila. One with DC connections. Lila's mind flashed to a younger Malcolm in tactical gear, face smudged with camo paint, moving through a war-torn building. Hostages cowered as his team cleared the room with lethal precision. Outside, explosions roared. His commander barked over the radio. Reed, extraction in 5. Leave the civilians. Negative, Malcolm replied. They're with us. That's an order, Sergeant. Then we make it work, sir. No one's left behind. Lila requested Malcolm's military records. The response was swift. No such records existed. That night, her voicemail held a chilling message from an unlisted number. Public defenders who dig too deep get buried. The homeless guy's not worth your career or worse. She played it twice, hands trembling. Threats weren't new, but this felt colder, calculated. Next day, a tall black man approached Lila outside the courthouse, coffee in hand. Mind if I join you? Jasper Wade, Cedar Hollow Tribune. I don't discuss cases with reporters, Lila said. Not about one case, Jasper replied, sliding a folder over. A pattern. Inside were files on 6 homeless veterans arrested by the same officers, all with similar charges, all convicted. Why show me? Lila asked. You're the first PD to file multiple challenges on one of these, Jasper said. Others took plea deals to make it go away. Why do you care? 3 disappeared after sentencing, no record in any prison, Jasper said grimly. Someone's cleaning house. Lila recalled Holt's words at the pub. Clean house before the feds get nosy. I'll think about it, she said. Jasper handed her his card. Think fast. Your client's hearing is in 2 days. Lila met Judge Henry Thompson that afternoon. Your Honor, I suspect evidence tampering in the Reed case. Holt has a history. Holt's decorated. Thompson cut in. Serious claims need proof, counselor. Lila noticed a photo on his desk. Thompson golfing with Police Chief James Carver. I'm requesting a fair evidence review, she said. Noted, Thompson dismissed. Lila left, dread growing. The system seemed rigged to crush Malcolm. That evening, Jasper texted. Found something. Meet tomorrow, 7 a.m. He handed her a yellowed 2007 news clipping. A 4-star general stood in the foreground, but behind him was a younger Malcolm, in elite unit gear, unnamed. Why is a decorated soldier homeless and erased? Lila asked. That's the question, Jasper said. Someone's working hard to keep it unanswered. At the jail, Lila showed Malcolm the photo. This is you, right? His eyes flicked to it, a flash of recognition, then back to the wall. Malcolm, she said softly. I need to know what happened. Not just at the store, but before. Silence stretched, then Malcolm shifted. You're not just here for the case anymore, are you? No, Lila admitted. Someone's burying you. I want to know why. Malcolm studied her, then spoke. Sniper first. Afghanistan 2002. Best in my unit for high-value targets. Lila listened as he described 3 tours, then command roles in covert ops. Led a special unit, Joint Task Command. Extractions, intel, sometimes cleanup. Cleanup. When powerful people screwed up, we erased their messes, he said, voice hardening. Until I couldn't. He recounted a 2008 mission gone wrong, ordered to destroy evidence of civilian massacres by private contractors with government ties. They wanted it all burned, files, photos, bodies. National security, Malcolm said. But those people had families. You disobeyed, Lila guessed. He nodded. Sent copies to a secure drop. 3 days later, I was stripped of rank, labeled a threat, dishonorably discharged. My record was erased. Pain crossed his face. Had a wife, Eleanor, and daughter, Maya. Eleanor wrote me every week. Said she'd wait. 2 months after I got back. She died in a car crash. Brake lines cut. But cops said, driver error. His voice turned bitter. Convenient. Your daughter. Child Services took her. Said I was unstable. Nightmares, flashbacks, drinking. The streets felt safer than a world that didn't want me. Lila connected dots. The arresting officers. Linked to your past? Doubt it, Malcolm said. Just crooked cops with an easy target. But the timing's odd. Last month was the mission's 15th anniversary. 3 weeks ago, a teammate died. Natural causes. His tone dripped skepticism. Lila sneaked into the police records office, photographing Holt's arrest logs. 23 of 36 recent arrests targeted homeless people. 8 veterans, 5 with charges mirroring Malcolm's. All pled guilty under pressure except one who died in custody, allegedly from a heart condition. The pattern screamed intent. Following Jasper's lead, Lila visited Maple Grove Veterans Home. Victor Sanchez, a 55-year-old paraplegic veteran, studied Malcolm's photo. Never thought I'd hear that name again, he said. Malcolm was the most honorable man I served with. His file wasn't just sealed, was it? Lila asked. Erased, Sanchez confirmed. Someone with serious pull still sees him as a threat. That night, Lila's military archive search crashed with an access-denied error. A knock at her door revealed a man in a suit, handing her an envelope with one word: careful. At the jail, Grant overheard Holt and Dylan laughing. Harper's sniffing around records, like the last two defenders. She'll back off when it gets personal. Grant later copied Holt's body cam footage in the evidence room, hiding it in a chapel Bible. In a dream, Malcolm was back in a desert compound, gathering intel with his team. Hurry, Lieutenant Carter urged. Airstrike in 10. Malcolm found a folder, Operation Shadowveil, detailing weapons diverted to black market dealers, signed by U.S. officials. Burn it, Carter ordered. Malcolm hesitated, then slipped a thumb drive copy into his pocket, a choice that would cost him everything. Across town, 24-year-old Maya Reed sat on her bed, surrounded by old photos and her mother's diary. "Who were you?" she whispered, tracing a photo of Malcolm in uniform. A diary entry from weeks before Eleanor's crash read, "We're being watched. Same car across the street 3 days. Malcolm says I'm paranoid, but I'm not sure." Maya uploaded the photo to a veterans forum, looking for info on this soldier, possibly tied to classified ops 2005 to 2008. "My father. I need answers." At Malcolm's preliminary hearing, Assistant DA Charles Bennett added a last-minute, anonymous witness statement claiming Malcolm threatened parkgoers. Lila spotted the signatures identical. Why loop to Dylan's arrest report? In court, she presented the match, and Judge Thompson struck the statement, glaring at Holt. A small win. At Maple Grove, Sanchez showed Lila a photo of their unit. Malcolm was set for a Medal of Valor, canceled 2 weeks before his discharge. 3 men from this photo are dead. Accidents. Back at the jail, Grant, shaken by Holt's threats against his sister, Sophia, copied the footage to a USB and hid it. Lila found Malcolm's storage locker under the alias James Carter. Inside were a journal, dog tag, and documents showing Malcolm with top generals. She met Grayson at his home. "Thompson's compromised," he said. "His son's drug charges vanished last year. Holt was the officer." "We need undeniable evidence," Grayson urged. Jasper's expose on Truthline sparked outrage, with hashtags like #JusticeForMalcolm trending. Veterans offered support. A group, Sentinels, sent a redacted Shadowveil report confirming Malcolm's claims. Holt stormed into DA Thomas Garrett's office, demanding felony charges. "Elections are coming," Holt warned. "You want to be the DA who freed a cop killer?" Garrett agreed to escalate charges. Lila met Thompson that night. "Review this evidence, Your Honor," she urged, showing the body cam still. "I can't," Thompson whispered, eyes haunted. "Holt has my son's case." Lila added Malcolm's medal nomination. "When this breaks, which side of history will you choose?" Thompson stared, silent. Lila's apartment was trashed that night, her evidence wall gone. But she digitized everything. Malcolm wrote to Maya in his cell, "If you read this, things went wrong. They want me silent for what I know. I never abandoned you. I fought for you every day. Keep fighting. The truth finds its way." He hid the letter in his boot and prayed. Trial day dawned clear. Protesters lined the Cedar Hollow courthouse steps, demanding justice. Inside, the room buzzed. Malcolm, in a suit Maya bought, stood tall. Judge Thompson entered, composed. Court in session. State versus Malcolm Reed. Garrett confirmed readiness. Lila echoed, nerves steady. Lila removed biased jurors, noting Holt's scowl. Garrett painted Malcolm as a violent drifter. Lila countered, "This is about Malcolm Reed, a war hero erased for exposing corruption." Tanner testified to Malcolm's threats, but Lila's surveillance footage debunked him. "Were you pressured?" she asked. Tanner crumbled. "I overreacted." Dylan and Carter claimed Malcolm resisted, but Lila exposed timeline flaws. During recess, Lila learned Grant was hospitalized. She added him to the witness list. Grant, battered in a wheelchair, testified, "I was attacked for this footage. Holt and Dylan planted evidence. The video played, showing Holt slipping the knife into Malcolm's bag. "Bury him like the rest." The courtroom gasped. Judge Thompson demanded order. Malcolm testified, recounting his service, the mission, and his erasure. "They erased me because I wouldn't erase the truth," he told Garrett's aggressive cross. "Some moments burn into you." Thompson recessed abruptly, returning resolute. "I must address something," he said. "This man served with distinction. As a JAG officer in '07, I knew the name Reed, a soldier who saved lives against orders." He stood. "This man deserves respect. Everyone, rise." The room stood, jurors, veterans, even the bailiff. Malcolm's tears fell, years of invisibility erased. Holt stormed toward the exit. "Holt, return!" Thompson barked. In chambers, Thompson told Garrett, "Reconsider this prosecution." Garrett balked, citing pressures. "The law's your only pressure," Thompson snapped. To Lila, "I'm resigning post-trial. I compromised once. Not again." Outside, protesters grew. Media swarmed. Holt plotted damage control, but Carter turned himself in. FBI agents arrested Holt for conspiracy and rights violations. Dillon was detained, spilling years of misconduct. Holt got a call. Malcolm was a priority target. Agent Lucas Bennett contacted Lila. "This ties to Malcolm's military past. Meet tomorrow." Next day, Garrett moved to dismiss charges. A retired general, William Prescott, testified, "Malcolm was my finest soldier. His erasure was a travesty." Thompson ruled, "Malcolm Reed, not guilty. I order an investigation into the officers." He apologized as a former JAG officer. On the courthouse steps, Malcolm saluted the crowd, Maya at his side. That night, he visited Cedar Hollow's War Memorial, tracing his teammates' names. "I spoke for you," he whispered. Weeks later, Malcolm declined media deals, seeking only dignity. The precinct faced a corruption probe. Holt and Dillon were charged. 2 Pentagon officials resigned. Lila won the Brennan Award and founded the Veterans Justice Alliance with Malcolm advising. Jasper's Pulitzer-funded Truth Watch, exposing police abuses. Maya and Malcolm rebuilt their bond, visiting Eleanor's grave with a photo of Malcolm in uniform. Grant, medically retired, advocated reform. Thompson resigned, volunteering with veterans. Lila tackled similar cases, pinning Malcolm's photo on her office wall. "One case at a time, we'll fix the system." Malcolm adopted a 3-legged rescue dog, Valor, and lived with Maya, cooking dinners. A plaque at his old sleeping spot read, "For those who served but found no home, we see you." The DoD overturned Malcolm's discharge, awarding his Medal of Valor. "It doesn't change the past," he told Maya, "but it shapes the future." A year later, Malcolm mentored at-risk teens. "This uniform doesn't make you a hero," he said, holding his old jacket. "What you do after matters. You're not invisible. Your story can change the world." Lila, Maya, and Jasper watched, proud. Cedar Hollow stirred, its flaws exposed, its hope kindled. Malcolm's journey, from erasure to vindication, became a beacon, proving that truth, though delayed, can shatter even the deepest shadows.